you cannot give Mane that kind of time and space.
So Senegal through to the African Cup of Nations final after beating Burkina Faso by 3-1. Let's bring in Nedum Onuoha for more on this. Nedum, just overall, this is one of the best games we've seen so far in this tournament.
Yeah, it certainly was, especially that first half. It was so end-to-end. It was so dynamic. There was lots of skill in there. It was physical. A few sort of like half opportunities. It was really, really good to watch. I think at the start of the second half, the energy died down a little bit, but then it became more sort of like tactical, more technical. But then I think in the end, you know, the better side won. And as you look at it, you know, Senegal, they're the #1 ranked side in Africa, 20th ranked side in the world. And they're getting a chance to redeem themselves because in the last AFCON, they lost in the final. So let's see who's going to be awaiting them and come tomorrow.
Nedum's right, isn't it? In some of the games this tournament have been a little bit hard to watch. Yeah. But that first half was so frantic, so much going on. Both teams really going for it.
Look, there was a lot of difficult games to sit through, especially early on. And including Senegal, who I thought started the tournament very slowly, but have found their rhythm. And now are scoring multiple goals. Now we're looking like the side that you thought would be coming into this tournament. Led by Sadio Mane, and you saw his importance on the day. A team that's now only conceded 2 goals, including this one against Burkina Faso, with Edouard Mendy between the sticks. And they are looking like the side of a couple of years ago that got to that final and lost Algeria, as Nedum was discussing. Now, all of a sudden, with Senegal looking like they can score goals, with Senegal threatening and playing with pace and playing with purpose, they are going to make for a really interesting prospect for whoever comes up against them.
From a Burkina Faso side, obviously, you know, going into this game as underdogs and Nedum, no one would be surprised that they lost this tie, but they'll be so disappointed. As Shaka rightly said, you look at the goals they conceded, and they were just sloppy mistakes.
Yeah, they really were, especially the one which led to the Mane assist. You know, they're playing into their hands, and then at the end you can say, well, they're going for the game a little bit, and they're unfortunate because the players slipped, but then next thing before you know it, Sadio Mane is running through on your goal, and you know exactly what that means. But it's a shame, and for me, just before Senegal scored, the game was getting a little bit flat. It seemed like Burkina Faso didn't really have the belief that they had earlier in the game, and then they were punished for it. And then, you know, when the goal they scored at 2-0, that was one of the few times where they actually committed a ton of bodies into the box. So I think at this sort of level, you know, even though they sort of matched them up for most of the game, the fact was in key moments they just didn't really have the belief. And then against that Senegal side, which is so organised, you know, you've got Napoli defender, PSG defender, you've got PSG midfielder, you've got Mane, one of the best players in the world on the field, and they're incredibly well organised. You know, you need to have the belief and you need to have things go your way, but unfortunately for them, they didn't.
Ned, looking at this side, and you use the word organised there, you have to feel that they are the most complete team in this tournament that we've seen, certainly at the back, certainly with that organisation.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, Cameroon, I think they're second favourites for the tournament, but they've shown a ton of flaws throughout the tournament because they conceded a ton of goals, even though they scored quite a few as well. But in Senegal, you know, they've only conceded 2. They always feel like they're quite dangerous. And the organisation in midfield, whenever they need to go and press, they'll press. If they need to drop, they'll drop. So they have the right sort of balance. And I think this is why they're the #1 ranked team in the continent. And as I say, they're looking for redemption. After losing in the final 3 years ago, this is their big chance. There's talk that this is probably one of the best squads Senegal have ever had. So when you see the way that they play, you know, it just feels different to some of the other sides. And when the final, because as I say, it's a chance for redemption.
So they're through to the final. They then await Thursday semi-final between Cameroon and Egypt. Let's take a look at how the bookies have this game set going into the tie, of course, in Cameroon as host. Cameroon going into this game as favourites. Egypt, the outsiders. Egypt, really, we haven't really seen the best of them so far, Nedum, or are expectations just a little too high?
I don't think they're too high because I don't think they have played that well. It's not one of the best Egyptian sides that we've seen for many years, but the fact is they're still in the semi-final. They're finding ways to grind out results, to just grind out performances in some ways. So going into this game, they're going as the underdog, and Cameroon are at home, but Cameroon also have a ton of pressure. But you look at Egypt, and they've won the tournament 5 times before. They have one of the best players in the world in Mohamed Salah. and they're well organised. But I think for me, if Cameroon sort of set the tempo, then I think it'll play into their strengths. But the fact is, you know, when it comes down to Egypt, they've not arrived there by accident, and they can soak up pressure. And if they can give the ball to someone like Salah, as we saw in the quarter-final, he can make a big, big difference. It's going to be a really, really exciting game. And I think whoever gets to the final is going to be a good matchup for Senegal.
Salah or bust, is it? That simple?
Yeah, without question. And every time I've seen Egypt play this tournament, that's exactly what I thought. If you could somehow stifle Mohamed Salah, I just don't feel they have enough firepower going forward. But then they come up against Morocco in the last round, and a North African derby. And I thought that was easily Egypt's best performance of the tournament. And I just wonder how much emotion of that derby, as I spoke about, played into Egypt's hands. Because I just felt that, Salah aside, they have been that disappointing in this tournament up to this point.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.